when I look at people talk about intersectionality and all, this whole identity politics thing, what I see is taking the human being, magnifying a biological attribute, and then putting them aside, putting them in a corner as victims of oppression. And in a way, I feel sorry for them. I happen to be black, and I happen to be a woman, and I happen to be a minority in the United States. I even happen to be an apostate.
Yeah. You're really going for the whole thing there, huh?
For the whole thing, yeah. So talk about intersectionality.
Yeah.
But none of that defines me as who I am. I'm more than all of that. And I most certainly don't see myself as a victim. And knowing people who grew up in Africa, who grew up in Muslim countries, you probably know also some gay people who had to struggle and go through adversity. I think when you come out of it, you come out as a proud survivor. You don't come out as a victim, and you don't want to be victimized. You don't want safe spaces. You don't want to be in this constant mental state of anger and full of resentment and wanting to lash out at others and demanding that society or whoever it is that you feel oppresses you gives you money and jobs. And no, you come out of this thinking, I've earned, I love to work. What I'm proud of in my journey is that I was able to say every time when I tried to run away from that husband, some of the Somalis around me would say, you're going to rot in hell. And there's absolutely no way you're going to survive outside of the extended family, the clan. You will end up being a whore. And now at the age of 47, I want to look back and tell them, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I didn't end up being a whore. I don't think I'm going to burn in hell because I don't believe there's a hell. And I have a wonderful, comfortable life that I couldn't have if I had gone with that man.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't make me into a victim, intersectionality or no intersectionality.
Yeah.
So to me, the whole thing, the whole hogwash of, the language, I try to go through some of these articles and books, and they're so boring.
Yeah.
It's just one long excuse to wallow in self-pity. And that's not, those people don't speak for all blacks, for all women, for all minorities. They just speak for, in my view, a very small subsection of overprivileged individuals who are seeking to take advantage of the trend now of white guilt.
Yeah, so is the irony that it may not even be exactly what you say that is getting for your critics. It's not exactly what you're saying, which if you probably whittled it down, they might agree with you on some of it, privately at least. But it's that you don't act like a victim, and they can't. That is so counter to the entire movement that even if you could get them to privately say, you're making some good points, but that your very existence as a free, functioning, happy, successful person is counter to their movement, and that's more of a threat than whatever you can say about Islam or anything else.
That's a threat, and the leadership within this movement, I have no idea what to call them. You brought up the term intersectional. Are they called the intersectionals? God knows what they're called.
They love the Oppression Olympics, which I heard first from our friend Faisal.
Oppression Olympics, some of it, look at college campuses. There are freshmen, young, vulnerable students, impressionable minds, and their heads are filled with this nonsense that, they have to fear for their lives and that they're not safe on campus, on American campuses. And it's that kind of leadership that I find so toxic, because here you have young people, in my view, I come from Africa, people would kill to be in any one of these Ivy League universities and get an education. And here they are being told that if they read Plato or Shakespeare or Mark Twain, they are threatened somehow.
Or that there's rape culture there.
There's
or
a rape culture,
all of these other things.
And in this, what are you doing to these young people?
So where do you think the fault lies? Because I agree with you. I think a lot of the people that have bought into these ideas, I don't blame the 18-year-old kid who has been hit with this stuff and indoctrinated. I don't blame that kid. I would hopefully will fight to save some of their intellect at some point, and hopefully they'll hear some of our good ideas. But who do you blame? Do you blame the administrators first? Do you blame
And the faculties. So the
yeah.
people who are putting these stupid programs together, and I think those programs should not be funded. And of course, the administrators, the faculty, you blame the people who are supposed to be the grown-ups in the room. And for them to, sign off on these programs where young people are being scared to death on campuses. And it's not, here's the paradox. The people that they're supposed to protect, and one is feeling protective of, are the ones who get disadvantaged ultimately. Because you make people see nothing else but their skin color, or nothing else but their gender, or their transgenderedness, or whatever it is, other biological attribute. And for 4 years or 5 years, you're in a setting where your demands are met, or supposedly met. I think usually people just ignore you.
Right, which would be the best thing to do, actually, I think.
You would think that, but then you graduate, and then you go into, you start taking part in real life. And then I wonder, what has this institution of learning done for these young people? What has it done to them?
Yeah. So if you were advising a school that was going through this, where every week we see another school going through this, and they want a professor fired, they want an administrator fired, what would you say to them? Okay, so we can defund some of this stuff, but is it really that we have to teach courses on this? I mean, teach the reverse course. They're learning identity politics.
Yeah.
Do we need a counter course?
Yes, we need individuality courses. We need more courses on the American Constitution. The individuals who founded this country and the adversities that they went through. I would propose more programs on Western civilization, what makes it distinct from other civilizations, from other cultures. And I would most definitely emphasize, when it comes to freedom, the position of the individual, not groups, not individuals. You can pretend you're in some kind of group with all black people, but that's not the case. You are an individual, and your circumstances are different from other people's. And I think when you want, people say, well, if you're going through the same sort of suffering or through the same kind of adversity, it does help to organize, and it does most certainly, and to put on the table exactly what it is that these problems are, and together to work out as a group. But the members in that group are voluntary.
Yeah.
They actually say, I'm working with some Muslim women who understand that Sharia as a system of law is really something that's applied to their daily lives, that compromises their freedom, compromises their dignity. And as a group, they don't see themselves as victims of anything else other than this particular culture that's practiced by their own parents, their own extended family, their own community, and they want to change, and they want to change these communities. But outside of that, outside of those few hours when they're highlighting these issues, they're free individuals going about their daily